Hey, fabulous people, it's your girl Louise. Welcome to 40s Plus Mom Movement. You know what? I was sitting down thinking about a lot of things in my life that have kind of shaped and molded me. And a lot of experiences, even, from a child into becoming a mom. Our lives, if you ever think about it, a lot of things that we do now as adults is because of things we have experienced. From children to adolescents to adults. It's so many different things. I mean, teen years, just everything that we are is because of experiences that we've had since we have been pretty much born, lived our lives. So I just want to talk a little bit about my motherhood examples because I find myself being the mother that I am because of people that I've kind of watched, not really paid attention to, knowing that one day I would be a mother and I would adopt some of those qualities. But just things that I have decided to do because of people that I've seen in my life as mothers, and things I've decided not to do because of examples of mothers. So this is pretty much about my motherhood examples, and the first person I want to talk about is my own mom. Um, I just think about when it comes to my mom, I think about the word sacrifice. My mom and my parents, my mom and dad, of course, they were married. They still are married to this day, 40 plus years of marriage. But the one thing about a mother and a father's role in the child's life is so different. Both are important, but they're just so different. And I just think about my mother because even though I thank God she's still here today and she's still she's still healthy. And my mom, if I'm in my 40s, you can only imagine my mom is not a spring chicken anymore. But I just think about her because my mother, she had six of us. Good God, I have one, but she had six. We were the Brady Bunch, three girls and three boys. And I just think about her sacrifice that she made. My mother had a very good job. She came off her job at the State Department, and she came off her job to be home with her kids. My father had a pretty good job, and my mother had a pretty good job at the time, and she came home to be with her kids to sacrifice. Because I'm gonna try to tell you something. We used to blow my mother's work phone up. I mean, we would call her and be like, "Mom, what are you doing? Mom, can you bring us something home? Mom, when you get off, can we go for a ride?" I mean, we was those kids that would call and probably get you fired today if you was our parent, because we always called. We called so much everybody that they knew, oh, Joan, it's your kids. I mean, you knew, and she made a conscious decision, and it was sacrificial because my mother was making good money at the time, and she came home to raise us. My father, he had a job that was demanding. He worked a lot, and I just think about everything my mother did, from making sure we had hot meals before going to school in the early in the morning hours, making sure that our dinners were cooked. I mean, making sure, I mean, even you all, when you become an older child, and you in high school, and you like, your mom still want to come and walk into your classes, or she still want to pop up, and you like, oh no, my mother's here, and you're like, oh no, mom, you don't got to walk down the hallway. But you know what? Those are the things that I appreciate because that's what's absent nowadays. Parents have so much on their plates. They don't have time to be that parent that can afford to take off and raise their children. They have to pay the bills. Some parents are single. Some parents, they just, I'm not going to say live above their means. They're barely making it. They're trying to, maintain the household of what they have, and they don't have that opportunity nowadays. Some mothers can't be stay-at-home mothers. Some parents, they just don't have the opportunity. That's why I said I appreciate that, because my mother's main thing was that she wanted us to be able to do after school activities. She wanted us to be able to, you know, just participate in things that kids should be able to do, instead of having my sister, and I were the oldest, instead of having my sister babysit us and miss out on things. My mother sacrificed. She sacrificed a lot to come home and be with us, and she's still that way. My mother would tell you that her children are her life, and that she loved us. She's loved us. That is unconditional love, regardless. Because I wasn't the easiest teenager. I'm telling y'all now, and I was a mess. I wasn't the easiest teenager coming up. But my mother still, she still had that unconditional love with me for my mess. But it's one thing my mother used to do when we were kids, y'all. And it used to get on my nerves when I was little, but I appreciate it. Now, I told you it was six of us growing up. My mother used to take us to McDonald's. Now, y'all, it's six of us. So you would think when you go to McDonald's, she would just get a cheeseburger for us. But guess what? She wouldn't get six. She would get three. My mother would get three cheeseburgers, y'all, and split them in half because she wanted us to learn how to share. My mother was the type of mother that when we went to the playground or the park, she would go buy a loaf of bread. I know if your mother was like this, and she would buy some meat, bologna, I think, at that time, and some chips. We got hungry and something to drink. That's what we ate. I mean, my mother, I learned so many practical things from her that I appreciate. And this is what I'm saying. Those are the qualities of a mother that I have, that I appreciate. Those are things that I want to embed in my child. And my mother, she made sure, my mother's very creative. It's just so many things. My mother sacrificed. She sacrificed a job over her children. And that is just something that is admirable because many women can't do that now. So many kids have missed out or raised themselves because their parents were busy trying to make a living to keep a roof over their head and keep food on their table. And my mother, she decided to come home so that we could have a life and enjoy our childhood and our teenage years. And just to be able to do those things, that was amazing to me. So that's my first example. My second example is my sister. My sister, her name was Trina. She passed away in 2006, but she's my second example. And she's my second example because I had the privilege to live with her. We lived together. I'm saying it like I just lived there. No, we lived together. And I pretty much was a part of helping raise her boys. My sister had two boys. And it's so funny because I remember when we used to go to the store, I used to tell my nephews, look, I'm your mother. When we go to the store, I'm mommy. I'm mommy now. I was only auntie. But it was just so funny. But her example is of a woman who pretty much was a single mother because she did the raising of her sons on her own. Even though the fathers were there and they weren't really as active as they could be, but she never ever ever talked bad about those boys' dads to them. And being a single mother or a baby mother, whatever the title is that a lot of women have nowadays, not too many women can say, oh, I ain't tell my kids that their father was a deadbeat, he ain't no good. My sister never did that. She never talked about the boys' fathers to their face. Now, when we was in private and she was joking and the kids weren't around, oh, she had lots to say. But because she was a woman of integrity, still integrity, even when she was younger, she never told them boys, your father's this, your father's that. She never told them, oh, you ain't going with them, you ain't doing that. She wasn't that nasty person. My sister made sure that those kids had everything they needed. She provided for those kids. Even when she had got on disability and her health wasn't as well, my sister made sure she took those kids and loved them. They were like under her wing. And she really loved them, and it was just amazing. Even when it was times when she struggled, my sister was the type of person that could make a meal out of noodles. I don't even know how she made it. It was like noodles, some chicken or some tuna, and I don't even know, but it was good. I mean, we would get down to like the last of the last. Wasn't making a lot of money back then, but we struggled together as a little family. It was me, my sister, and her two boys, and it's like she could make a meal out of nothing, and she was like the best mother. When I tell you she loved her kids, she would go to bat for her kids. Even when her son started cutting up as he got in his teenage years, my sister would be out there looking for him in the street. I would be leaving work and she'd be calling me to my son, man, EJ, he ran off again. I was like, oh Lord, I'm coming all the way from New Carrollton to come all the way up to Laurel to find this boy. When my sister didn't play, she loved her kids. It didn't matter how many times she had to go to the school to sit in her son to talk to the principal. It didn't matter what she had to do for her younger son Dante. It did not matter. This woman, she loved her kids. She showed them love. She punished them when she had to, but she didn't beat on them. My mother didn't even beat on us. She didn't do those type of things. Didn't tell us we was no good. I didn't have that type of mother, and my sister wasn't like that with her kids. She loved them. She loved them all the way till the day that she passed. And I just think about how just that unconditional love that she had for her kids. And my last example is my sister, my baby sister. Her name is Alicia, but I call her Nudie. And she's my last example because my sister's married with 5 kids. But before she became married, my sister she's been the brain. She has a serious brain. I mean, if you can get straight A's in kindergarten, that was her. She had like pretty much straight A's all the way up to high school. She had a full ride scholarship into college. And my sister became pregnant when she got into college. But the one thing I admire about my sister, she has always been a person who has been I'm going to say she has just always pushed forward. She has never let anything stop her. And even when she became pregnant, when she was in college, do you all know my sister still graduated with top honors? Her grades did not drop. She was still a college mom. There were people probably looking at her sideways because she was pregnant. But let me tell you something. That woman, perseverance, whatever it is, she continued. And graduated on top of her college class. Is an awesome woman, an awesome mother. Before my eyes, she has 5 kids, 3 boys. One of her oldest is in college. Her middle one is pretty much straight A brains like her. And then she got her 3 boys and her 2 girls. They came last. But when I tell you all, she loves her kids. She does anything. She does do anything for them kids. Her daughters, her sons. She would go to bat for those kids. My sister she has a very good job, and it's not close to where she lives. My sister might be in traffic an hour and something to get home. But let me tell you something. That woman comes home, she cooks that dinner, she tends to her family, she tends to her kids, she gets their homework done. She's like a super mom. Like, she really is, and she loves them to death. Like, I know sometimes she looks at Lily and she's like, Lily is cute, but she is not interested in starting over. She said because she started over and over so many times, like, she don't have baby fever when it comes to Lily. When you see people get pregnant, they're like, oh, it makes me want another one. She's like, oh, no. Her and her husband like, no, we done. We are finished. Finito. No, no, no. It's so funny. Because her husband be like, I miss that stage sometimes. And she's like, no. My kid's independent now. Her youngest is 5 going on 6. So you can imagine her having to start over again. She probably rip her hair out. But anyway, I just admire her. She's made of that stuff. She's made of that she's just like a super mom to me. Like, her kids are happy. They're kids, they're regular kids, but they love each other. They love their mother. They love their father. She just makes sure they're always taken care of. She's made of that stuff. And I just wanted to talk about those are my three examples I wanted to highlight. Because I want you all to see the type of cloth that I'm cut from. And I know motherhood is not an easy thing, and I would never say that motherhood is. But when I think about combining all of those great assets of what I have seen, and now that I'm a mother, do you not think that I'm going to impart that in my daughter? Do you not think that I'm going to be that mom? I can't really divide a cheeseburger and give her one because it's just her, unless me and her shares, and then she eats everything that I eat. So I'm kind of divided, and I think she went back to sleep. Look at her. She woke up just to lay on her mother. It's fun. I was going to tell you all this. My sister was over here. I was doing her daughter's hair yesterday. My sister was holding Lily, and she was like, don't you just play with her little fat feet? Don't you just like play? I was like, no. She played with mine though. She was like, ugh. But I'm just like, this is what I'm saying. That is the cloth that I'm cut from. That is my royalty in my blood. When it comes to being an awesome mother, it's because of the examples of the women who have always been in my life. And it's things that I have taken note of, not even really paying attention to, but I remember it. And the one thing I can remember is that I've never heard any of my examples tear anybody down when it comes to their kids. Always being there, always being committed. That's the stuff that I'm made of. That is the cloth that I'm cut from. You know, I don't badmouth, you know, things that me and her father aren't perfect. But even when we have our disagreements, we don't argue back and forth. We don't do those things. We talk like people that have sense. And so this is what I thought about. I wanted to talk about my motherhood examples. I want to talk about the women in my life who have left an impression on me that I didn't even really realize until I became a mother. So why don't you all just sometimes take that time to think about not the negative things, because mothers are never going to be perfect. We're going to do so many things that people are going to disagree with. But at the end of the day, when it's your child, you're going to do what you know to do, what is best for you and your child. And like I said, thanks for the advice, but I got this. Those are the people who I turn to when I have questions. Only one I can't is my sister, and I miss her dearly. And I'm glad that my mother's still here, and I have those women to talk to. But I just wanted to highlight those 3 examples. And I want you all to know this is the cloth I'm cut from. This is why I say we're fabulous, because we are. Being a mother isn't an easy thing, but it's worth it. Ain't it worth it? We should give ourselves more applause and claps, because it's nothing and nobody else can do what we do, because they're our children. They are made specifically for us. And this one is sleep. So with that being said, I'm in this 17-minute video, but I just wanted you all to know the cloth that I'm cut from. So with that being said, we will chat later. And you all have a great, great, great evening. All right? Chat with you later. We're fabulous.